In Japan, there is a word called karoshi, which literally translates to work oneself to death. The men in Japan will work and work and work until they have a heart attack or a stroke at their desk. And they're just running on a hamster wheel endlessly without really understanding why. So let's get into the differences between good stress and bad stress. Bad stress is being concerned or anxious about something that has yet to happen and likely won't happen. Things that are out of your control. That's really bad stress. Good stress is strategic stress. It's the lease payment that is due. It's the employees that you have to feed and keep busy. Good stress is a gentle nudge that keeps progress moving. It keeps you moving forward towards the goals that you've set for yourself. And good stress isn't something to be afraid of. It's actually something to work with. Good stress comes in the form of goals that you've set for yourself or announcements that you've made publicly about what you intend to do. So that stress is really to be leaned on. And bad stress is to be recognized, addressed, and removed as quickly as possible. Now, I recognize that this opinion, it's mine alone. Maybe you share certain sentiments with it, maybe you don't. But I want to tell a little story that illustrates how everybody looks at this differently. Just because I intentionally stress myself out doesn't mean that you have to. I was working for a home builder, and there was this guy that worked there. His name was Mark, and he was their cabinet refinisher. I remember one day we were on a job site and he was delivering some cabinets he had just finished. I was just asking him about his life, what he gets up to. And he told me that he lives with a bunch of roommates, and he's living in a bedroom that is supposed to be a closet, and he plays with Lego on the weekend. The guy was 35 years old. So me and my youthful, stupid wisdom kind of gave him a hard time about it, and I really got in his face about it. I said, Mark, what are you talking about? Don't you want more out of life? Don't you want to spend your time doing stuff that you're really excited about, doing really cool things and, building a life for yourself? And he just got really close to my face and he said, Jay, not everybody needs to be ambitious. That always stuck with me. So I realized in that moment that my path is my own path. Your path is your own path. Mark's path is his own path. And we're all just living and figuring out what we want out of this life. But if you want a lot of things out of life, if you want infinite enjoyment, infinite happiness, infinite fulfillment in what you do, then I feel this concept will help you a lot, this strategic stress concept. So the idea with this strategic stress thing is to intentionally put stress on your circumstances, put yourself in uncomfortable situations that you usually wouldn't put yourself in. And that is kind of the name of the game when it comes to entrepreneurship, the entrepreneurial pursuit. It is forging your own path and really just kind of making it up as you go and, picking up little tips and thoughts along the path that you've chosen for yourself. Looking at my own path, I was always very comfortable, always very hardworking. I was the hardest working and best employee for any company that I worked for. And when it came time to, really jump on my own path, that was stressful. It was really scary. I kind of just dove in head first, and I was just winging it. I was making up numbers. I was charging people. I was faking it till I made it. Then I found a new strategic stress, and I found an office for $400 per month, and I leased that. Then I found a new strategic stress, and I found this empty shell of a dusty box and I wanted to make into a big fancy photo studio, and I did that. That was $1,300 a month. And with each of those steps that I took, the stress always comes down to financial well-being or financial comfort. Every time I put that stress on myself, I ended up, 10xing what I was making before. It's almost become like a precursor for me, like a requirement to level up what I'm doing in business. Now, the biggest, scariest, stressy thing that I did was I had built that studio and I wasn't happy. I was really miserable. So we moved up here to Muskoka in Ontario, Canada. I've evolved past any point that I thought was humanly possible for myself because of this big moves. So I mean, you have to imagine my business was built in a certain area and it's very physical. I make photos and videos for people and run their marketing. And now I'm 2.5, 3 hours away from that. I'm still working with those clients down there, and I've actually absorbed way more than I ever could have thought that I would have. And it's because of this strategically stressful situation that I've placed myself in. With all that said, every time that something gets too easy for me, I fuck it all up on purpose. Well, it's kind of become on purpose. I make it harder for myself. I put obstacles in the way that I have to overcome. And I don't know what that is, but it's become really useful for me. So I just wanted to share it with you. And this concept comes from this expedition leader, Hernan Cortés, who led this expedition, and they landed in Mexico. When they landed, this was a new place, undiscovered by the Spanish as of yet. Of course, the indigenous that they infiltrated and destroyed their way of life, like much of our history. When they landed, the captain ordered the burning of the ships. He ordered that all of these ships be destroyed. And the reason he did this was because he wanted no retreat. He wanted no plan B. He didn't want any of his guys to have in their head the idea of, okay, well, if this doesn't work out, we can leave. There was no leaving. And so I discovered that, quite a while after I started doing this myself, started burning my own ships. And it has become the crucible of any sort of growth that I've experienced, both personally on my spiritual journey and in my business life as a whole. So use this concept for yourself. Stress yourself out. And I'm not, suggesting that you do something irresponsible and ruin your life. That's for you to decide. You have to know your tolerance, and you have to know what you actually are capable of. If it's unrealistic for you to move across the country or something, or across the world, don't do that. You have to know your own limitations. But just start small, pick little things that are kind of mildly uncomfortable, and test yourself. See what kind of strategic stress that you can place on yourself. And in the meantime, remember to acknowledge the difference between good stress and bad stress. Good stress is this stuff I'm talking about here, uncomfortable situations that force you to grow. Bad stress is worry, being anxious, being concerned about the opinions of others, or, stopping yourself from doing things because you think it will make you not liked, or it's not going to work out. And that really stumps any growth that you want to experience in life. So do your best to remove that kind of stress from your life and lean into strategic stress. Burn your ships. That is it for this one, guys. Thank you for watching. As always, I got my links down below. Go check them out, and I'll see you in the next video.